Hello, everyone. My name is Mira. I have a story to tell you, a paranormal story that became the turning point of my life. Before these events, my life was already falling apart. Family pressure, backstabbing friends, a cheating boyfriend, workplace drama, and finally getting fired, it all happened at once. I needed to get away from everyone and start over with what little money I had left. It would be hard, maybe even impossible, but I had to do it. The people around me weren't helping, they were draining me. And I felt guilty for wasting the best years of my life trying to fix people who didn't want to be fixed, trying to make them love me when they never would. So I left. I left my home, my family, my friends, my job, and the house where I grew up. I moved to a quiet apartment on the outskirts of town. My family understood my situation and didn't protest. I was financially independent anyway. The apartment building looked clean and decent from the outside, but inside it was old and worn. The landlord, Mr. Eugene, was somewhere between 65 and 70, thin, short, with white hair and beard. The rent was affordable, so I took it without hesitation. Mr. Eugene gave me only one warning: "Young lady, don't come home too late, and please keep the noise down." "Don't worry," I said. "I'll be living alone. There won't be much noise." He seemed strange. He kept looking me up and down, muttering to himself under his breath. But I was desperate, so I signed the lease. From the moment I moved in, my life seemed to settle into a rhythm. I had saved some money from my previous job, so I could take a few days off to clear my head before looking for work again. The apartment had 2 bedrooms. It was old but furnished, a queen-size bed, a large wardrobe with a mirror, kitchen cabinets with dishes, an old TV in the living room, a small couch, and a dining table with 2 chairs. I spent the first day cleaning everything from top to bottom. Then I walked to the nearest grocery store to pick up a few essentials. I didn't buy much, my appetite had been gone for weeks, and I didn't want food going to waste. By the time I got back, the sun was setting. The building had 3 floors, and I was on the 2nd. As I climbed the stairs, I suddenly stopped and turned around. I felt someone behind me. But there was no one there. I hurried up the stairs and reached my door. The moment I stepped inside and closed it, I heard footsteps, fast, heavy footsteps running up to the 3rd floor. I opened the door again and looked out. Nothing. No one. Probably just someone from upstairs in a hurry, I thought. I locked the door, put away the groceries, and made myself coffee. The couch was surprisingly comfortable. I leaned back, closed my eyes, and before I knew it, I had fallen asleep. I found myself in a dream, or what I thought was a dream. I was surrounded by pitch-black darkness, like floating in a void. Strange whispers echoed around me, growing louder, closer. I couldn't understand what they were saying, but they were coming for me. I woke up gasping, my heart pounding. I was still on the couch. I got up and went to the kitchen for water. As I drank, I heard a strange crackling noise from the living room. The TV was on. It hadn't been on when I fell asleep. The screen was flickering wildly, switching between channels, blurry, distorted images. My hands shook as I grabbed the remote and tried to turn it off. Nothing. I unplugged it. I looked down at my glass. It was empty. But I had just filled it to the brim and taken only 1 sip. Where did the water go? I must be exhausted. My mind's playing tricks on me. I refilled the glass, drank it quickly, and headed to the bedroom. I changed into my pajamas and pulled back the blanket. Something moved under the covers. I froze. My skin crawled. A cat? Had a cat gotten in somehow? I couldn't bring myself to pull the blanket away. I stood there, paralyzed, staring at the lump moving slowly beneath the fabric. Finally, I grabbed the corner of the blanket and yanked it off. Nothing. There was nothing there. I shook out the blanket, checked under the bed, looked everywhere. Nothing. I couldn't sleep in that room. I grabbed my clothes, got dressed, and went back to the living room. I lay on the couch and prayed until I finally drifted off. When I woke, it was morning. I was starving. I didn't have the energy to cook, so I showered, got dressed, and went out for breakfast. The weather was beautiful. I found a cafe nearby and had a leisurely breakfast, then took a walk to clear my head. But as I walked, something strange happened. For a few seconds, I lost all sense of myself. I didn't know where I was, who I was, or how I got there. My knees ached, my bones hurt. I had felt fine when I woke up, but now exhaustion crashed over me like a wave. I sat down on a bench. The sounds around me faded, replaced by whispers, multiple voices, 5 or 6, all talking at once inside my head. I couldn't understand them. The world around me started to warp, things grew and shrank, my vision blurred, my stomach turned. I tried to stand but collapsed to my knees. My vision went black. I heard footsteps approaching, fast, urgent, but no one touched me. They circled around me but didn't help. I tried to speak, to call for help, but no words came out. I couldn't breathe. My chest tightened. I thought I was dying. Then everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I was in a hospital room. A nurse stood over me, kind eyes, warm smile. "You're okay," she said gently. "Everything's fine. Just rest." I tried to speak but couldn't. My body felt impossibly heavy. "Don't strain yourself," she said. "I'll check on you later." She left. I turned to look out the window. It was almost dark. I felt a deep, inexplicable dread. A few minutes later, the door opened again. Another nurse entered, wearing a surgical mask. Only her eyes were visible, large, black, unblinking. She walked toward me slowly. There was something wrong with her eyes. They were too big, too dark. She stood beside my bed, staring down at me. Then, without warning, her hands shot out and wrapped around my throat. She was choking me. I tried to fight back, but my body wouldn't move. Her hands were burning hot, like fire against my skin. Her eyes grew larger, filled with hatred. The mask fell away. Her mouth was torn open from ear to ear, filled with black, jagged teeth. "Why are you disturbing us?" she hissed in a voice that didn't sound human. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. The pressure on my throat increased. My vision darkened. Then I heard a voice, a real voice. "Hey! Are you okay?" I gasped and opened my eyes. The first nurse was standing over me, concerned. Everything was normal. The room was normal. There was no monster. "You were having a nightmare," she said, checking my pulse. "Your heart rate is through the roof. How do you feel?" I was trembling, drenched in sweat. "I don't know," I whispered. "Strange things have been happening. At home, in the park, and now here. I keep having these terrible nightmares, but I'm not asleep." The nurse, her name was Sarah, listened carefully. "If you'd like, I can arrange for you to speak with a psychologist. She's a close friend of mine." "I don't know," I said. "Maybe it's just stress. I've been through a lot lately. I just need rest." Sarah smiled and squeezed my hand. "Don't worry. Everything will be okay." I spent the night in the hospital. Sarah stayed with me, and we talked for hours. She told me she dreamed of being a nurse since she was a child, and hearing that made me feel a little better. It was comforting to know that some people still achieved their dreams. Around midnight, Sarah said she needed to rest and lay down on the empty bed in my room. "Wait for me in 15 minutes," she said. "Don't worry. Get some sleep." She was out almost instantly. I picked up my phone and started scrolling. Then Sarah started whispering in her sleep. I couldn't make out the words. "Speak up," I said, but she didn't respond. A few seconds later, she started laughing, not a giggle, but a full, hysterical cackle. "Sarah?" I called. She didn't answer. She just kept laughing. I was about to get up when the laughter stopped abruptly. I stared at her, unmoving, for several minutes. Then the door to the room slowly creaked open. No one entered. "Sarah, wake up!" I hissed. She didn't stir. The hallway lights went out. The corridor was plunged into darkness. Only a small nightlight in the room remained on. I got out of bed and moved towards Sarah, my hand outstretched. Then the nightlight went out. Complete darkness. I froze. I couldn't move. I whispered Sarah's name, begging her to wake up. Suddenly, a deafening scream filled the room. The bed started shaking violently. I fell to my knees, covering my ears, screaming for help. No one came. I wasn't alone in that room. Something was there with me, something I couldn't see. When I opened my eyes again, the lights were on. I was kneeling beside the bed. Sarah was gone. The door opened, and Sarah walked in, smiling. "Good morning. You're awake. When did you leave? What time is it?" Before I could finish, she held up a large shard of glass. "I found this under your pillow," she said. "Were you planning to kill me?" "No. I didn't put that there." She pressed the glass to her throat and dragged it across. Blood poured down her white uniform. I screamed. And then I woke up, again, in the hospital bed. Alone. The door opened. Sarah walked in, smiling. I started crying. "Please, don't." But she pulled out the glass shard again and slit her throat. I woke up again. And again. And again. Each time, Sarah killed herself. Each time, I woke up to the same moment. Finally, I woke up for real. Sarah was asleep in the other bed. I checked the time. Only 10 minutes had passed. What is happening to me? After I was discharged, I went home. The apartment felt wrong. Heavy. Oppressive. That evening, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find a little girl, no more than 6 years old. She had bright green eyes and looked like she'd been crying. "My mom didn't come home," she said. "I'm scared. Can I stay with you?" "What's your name?" "Senna." "My mom's name is Seda. We live upstairs." I couldn't turn her away. "Okay. You can wait here until she gets back. I have a cat upstairs. I don't want to leave him alone. Can you come up with me?" She was so insistent, so frightened. I grabbed my keys and phone and followed her to the 3rd floor. Her apartment was identical to mine in layout but furnished much better. She ran inside, calling for her cat. "Snowball. Where are you?" A fluffy white cat emerged from under the table. She picked it up and brought it to me. "Isn't he cute?" "Very cute." She led me to the couch. "Wait here. I want to show you my drawings." She ran to her room and returned with a sketchbook. The first pages were normal: flowers, butterflies, suns, animals. Bright and colorful. But as I turned the pages, the drawings changed. They became dark, chaotic, drawn in harsh black pencil. I couldn't make sense of them. Then I saw it. A face. A horrifying face with enormous eyes and a mouth torn open from ear to ear, stitched at the corners. Thin strands of hair. And a third eye in the center of its forehead, larger, more terrifying than the others. "Senna?" I called. No answer. I kept turning pages. The images grew worse, strange symbols, numbers I didn't recognize. I stood and walked toward her room. I heard her whispering. "You wanted me to bring her here. Now do what you need to do." I can't stand looking at her anymore. I pushed the door open. She was gone. I searched the closet, under the bed, behind the curtains. She wasn't there. I turned back to the living room. And froze. The cat was torn apart. Its white fur was soaked in blood. "Senna!" I screamed. A voice inside me said, "Get out. Now." But I couldn't leave a child alone in this place. I searched the entire apartment. I couldn't find her. Then I returned to the living room, and there she was, standing in the center of the room, holding a bloody knife. Her other hand was behind her back. "Senna, sweetheart, please put the knife down." She didn't respond. Her face was blank, expressionless. Her eyes were wide, unblinking. She brought her other hand forward. She was holding the cat's severed head. She bit into it. Then she threw it aside. "I didn't like the taste of that," she said. "Let's see how you taste." She ran at me with the knife. I bolted into the bathroom and locked the door. She pounded on it, screaming, laughing, threatening to cut me into pieces. I pressed myself into the corner, praying. Then the noise stopped. Blood began seeping under the door. I heard Senna's voice, "You did this to me. You hurt me." Thinking she had harmed herself, I unlocked the door. Standing in front of me was a creature, at least 7 feet tall, with impossibly long arms. Its face was the one from the drawing. I screamed, covered my face, and collapsed. When I opened my eyes, the creature was gone. The walls were covered in strange symbols, Arabic script, numbers. The windows were boarded up from the inside. I ran to the door and got out. I went down to my apartment. And found the same thing. The same symbols. The same boards. The same rotting smell. The door slammed shut behind me. Whispers filled the room. I tried to open the window, to call for help, but I couldn't. I was losing strength. Then I heard a voice. I turned. A woman in a white dress stood there, cradling a baby. Her face was bruised, her body covered in cuts. "Please," she whispered. "Take her. Get her out of here." She held the baby out to me. The baby was rotting. Covered in maggots. The door burst open. A tall, heavy man entered, bald, filthy. "What are you doing?" he bellowed. "Dinner isn't ready yet." He grabbed the woman by the hair and dragged her into the bedroom. Her screams filled the apartment. I followed. The man threw the baby against the wall. The woman stared into space, rocking her empty arms, humming a lullaby. He dragged her back to the living room. She collapsed, pressed her forehead to the floor, and began chanting, cursing him in a language I didn't understand. The apartment shook. The man looked around wildly, swatting at invisible things. Blood poured from his eyes, nose, and ears. His lips sealed shut. His arms and legs twisted backward. He fell to his knees in front of her. Within moments, he was dead. The woman stood, smoothed her hair, and walked back into the bedroom, humming softly. I looked inside. A tall, shadowy figure stood over her, stroking her hair. She cradled it like a child, singing. The figure turned to look at me. And I woke up. I was on the couch. It was 3:30 a.m. Everything was normal. But I knew I couldn't stay. The next morning, I called Sarah and told her everything. She believed me. "I don't think this is psychological," she said. "I think you need to see someone who deals with this kind of thing." She gave me an address. We met outside an old building and climbed to the second floor. A young woman let us in. Inside, an elderly man, around 65, short, round, with a white beard, greeted us warmly. "Sarah. It's been too long." Sarah introduced me to Father Matthew, a retired priest who specialized in spiritual matters. I told him everything. He listened carefully, then asked, "Have you ever been involved in the occult? Curses? Dark magic?" "No. Never. Someone may have cursed you. But the nightmares you experienced in that apartment, they might be tied to something that happened there. A curse. A tragedy." He led me into a room and placed a black leather book in front of me. "Open it. Read what you see." The first pages were blank. Then strange symbols appeared. Then words I could read, but didn't understand. I read them aloud. As I did, I felt a presence behind me. I was freezing. My hands shook. I looked up. A woman in black stood behind Father Matthew. "Don't be afraid," he said. "She's my helper. If you can see her, it means you've been touched by something dark." He took my hand and traced symbols into my palm. My arm went numb. I couldn't speak. Stand. Walk. I couldn't. He helped me up and guided me forward. When I opened my eyes, I was back in the apartment. "Tell me what you see," Father Matthew's voice said. I was in darkness. I heard the woman's lullaby. Then she screamed, "This is my home. My daughter and I are happy here. Leave us alone." The scream was so loud I collapsed, covering my ears. Then I opened my eyes. I was back in Father Matthew's room. My hand was still raised. "The curse has taken hold of you," he said. "People died in that apartment. They were cursed. And when you moved in, you disturbed them. What can I do?" He handed me a glass of water and a charm. "Drink this. Carry the charm. And never go back to that apartment. Not even near it." I did as he said. I left that apartment the same day. I stayed in a hotel for a few days, then found a new place. I've been living there ever since. Nothing strange has happened. But I still remember that apartment. The woman. The child. The man. Maybe what I saw really happened. Maybe those people really died there. Or maybe it was all in my head. Either way, I learned something: when you're trapped in darkness, don't run. Look for the light. Because every dark night has a bright morning.